The wind howled across the lonely plains of Virion 6, a distant planet forgotten by most of the galaxy. Rain fell in heavy sheets, and thunder cracked across the dark skies like angry voices from above. Inside a small shelter built from metal, scrap and reinforced stone, a human named Cole sat by a dim heater. He was an engineer, a fixer of old machines, and someone who didn't care much about galactic politics. He had come here to be alone, far from war, far from crowds, far from everything. Cole was cleaning a rusted part from an old farming drone when a sudden alert blinked on his wall monitor. Someone was outside. That didn't make sense. He lived hours away from the nearest settlement, and no one ever came by foot in a storm like this. He reached for his tool wrench just in case and moved slowly to the door. 3 knocks. Then silence. Cole opened the door. A shadow fell into his arms. A woman, tall, slender, and not human. She was covered in mud and blood. Her skin had a soft, pale blue color, almost glowing in the stormlight, and her dark suit was torn and scorched. One of her small, elf-like ears twitched weakly. She tried to speak but collapsed. Cole didn't ask questions. He dragged her inside and closed the door. The woman was unconscious. Her pulse was fast. She had deep gashes across her back and a strange mark on her shoulder. Her breathing was rough and her skin felt cold. Cole had no idea who she was, but he knew she was hurt, and badly. He carried her to his workbench, cleared the tools, and laid her down. He cleaned her wounds with what supplies he had. The cuts were from energy weapons. Someone had tried to kill her. Maybe more than one person. As he worked, the lights flickered. Then, all power cut off. The storm must have fried the main grid. Great, he thought. Just perfect. He grabbed a backup lamp and kept working. The woman flinched as he cleaned the last wound. She was waking up. Her eyes opened slowly. Bright violet, sharp, dangerous. She tried to sit up, but Cole placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're safe," he said quietly. "You collapsed at my door." Her hand moved quickly toward something near her hip, but the holster was empty. "No weapon. I took your blade." "It's right there," Cole said, pointing to a strange silver weapon lying on the counter. "I didn't touch anything else." The woman stared at him. Her voice came out low, weak, but filled with strength. "Why didn't you chain me?" Cole blinked. "Why would I chain someone I just saved?" "You don't know who I am?" she said. "No. And right now, I don't care." There was a long silence. She tried to sit up again, this time slowly. Cole helped her, and she didn't resist. She looked around the shelter. Tools, wires, metal parts, old tech stacked on shelves. A place for machines, not for people. "I'm Cole," he said. "What's your name?" She hesitated. Then, "Kailari." "Nice to meet you, Kailari. You're lucky I opened the door." "I didn't knock," she said. Cole frowned. "Then who did?" Another long silence. Then Kailari looked down, her voice almost a whisper. "I think it was me, before I fell." Cole didn't press her. Instead, he checked the monitor again. Still no signal. The storm had shut down all comms and sensors. Kailari watched him move. She was trained to spot lies, traps, and danger. But this human showed none of those things, just kindness and confusion. "You should know," she said suddenly. "I'm not someone you want in your home." Cole turned to her. "You're injured. That's all I see right now. You really don't know who I am?" He shook his head. She looked down at the floor. "Good. Maybe that gives me a few more hours of peace." The heater buzzed back on as the backup system kicked in. The warmth returned slowly. Kailari leaned back, still weak but more alert now. Cole brought her a warm drink, and she stared at it like it was something from a forgotten world. She took a small sip, then another. The heat spread through her, and for the first time in what felt like years, she felt safe. Cole returned to his bench, pretending to work, but his eyes kept drifting to her. He had questions, many of them, but he didn't ask, and Kailari didn't speak more. Not yet. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside that small shelter, something strange had started. The galaxy's most feared assassin was lying on a human's workbench, sipping a warm drink, with no chains on her wrists and no fear in her eyes. And the human? He had no idea what kind of trouble had just walked through his door. Morning came slowly on Virion 6. The storm had passed, leaving behind a calm silence across the rocky fields. The air was still, but inside Cole's shelter, things were far from quiet. At least inside his mind. He hadn't slept. Not really. How could he? A stranger, an alien, was resting in his home, and not just any alien. She had scars of battle, a weapon unlike anything he'd seen, and eyes that told him she had survived things most people never would. Kailari was sitting up now, wrapped in a rough blanket, staring out the small window. Her wounds were healing, fast, too fast for any normal person. "You have medical implants?" Cole asked, walking over with some food. She nodded but didn't explain more. Cole placed the food tray beside her, protein bread, synthetic fruit, and hot water. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. "You should eat," he said. She picked up the bread and took a small bite, then looked at him carefully. "You're not scared of me?" Cole raised an eyebrow. "Should I be?" Kailari didn't answer right away. Instead, she asked a question of her own. "Do you have a comm link?" "Here." "Offline. Storm damaged the satellite relay. I can fix it later today." She looked away, almost relieved. "Good. Then they haven't found me yet." "Who?" Cole asked. There was a long pause. Then Kailari spoke. "I worked for the Syndicate." Cole stiffened. The word was enough to make anyone cautious. The Syndicate was a powerful and dangerous organization. Secret deals, hidden wars, assassins, spies. They controlled whole systems without ever needing to show their faces. Kailari continued. "I was their weapon. I carried out orders across the galaxy. Assassinations. Silent jobs. I never failed. Until I found out the truth." "What truth?" Cole asked quietly. "They weren't hunting criminals. They were killing innocent people, scientists, peace leaders, anyone who stood in their way." "And you quit?" "I ran," she said softly. "But you don't leave the Syndicate. Not alive." Cole sat down on a nearby crate, arms crossed. He wasn't sure how to feel. Part of him wanted to believe her. Another part warned him to be careful. "They've sent hunters after me," Kailari said. "Bounty teams, and they won't stop until I'm gone." Cole let out a slow breath. "So you're hiding here?" "I didn't plan to. I was wounded. Ship crashed nearby. I was running, until I fell. Then I woke up here." Cole stood up and walked over to a console. Power was back now, and the system had just rebooted. He accessed the galactic data feed. It took only seconds to find her. A red alert. Kailari. The Phantom Blade. Wanted in 6 systems. Last seen escaping from a Syndicate carrier. Status. Extremely dangerous. He turned slowly and looked at her again. She sat quietly, watching him. Her face gave nothing away. "So now you know," she said. "You can turn me in. The reward is enough to live rich for 10 lifetimes." Cole didn't say anything. He looked back at the screen, then back at her. "I don't care about credits," he said finally, "but I do care about lies. So, did you really change sides?" Kailari nodded. "I've done bad things. Things I can't undo. But I didn't choose that life. They made me. And when I found a chance to break free, I took it." Cole looked at her for a long time. Then he shut the screen. "Then we better fix that comm tower before someone else finds it." She blinked. "You're helping me?" "I don't like the Syndicate either. They've hurt too many people. If you're really running from them, I'll give you shelter." Kailari's lips parted slightly, surprised. "Why?" "Because you didn't hurt me when you had the chance. And because maybe you're tired of running." There was silence again. Then she looked down. hiding a small smile. Maybe I am. Cole stepped out to check the comm relay. As he opened the outside panel, Kalari followed slowly, still weak but moving with the grace of a trained warrior. You can stay inside, he said. I'd rather help. It's the least I can do. They worked together for over an hour, fixing cables and resetting the circuits. Kalari was silent most of the time, but she watched carefully, studying how Cole handled tools and made things work again. You're different, she said at one point. Different from who? From everyone I've met. You fix things. You don't break them, Cole smiled. You think that's rare? Out there, she said, pointing to the stars. Very. By mid-afternoon, the comm tower was working again, but they kept it on passive mode. No signal, no trace. Kalari didn't want to risk being found. Back inside, she sat quietly, lost in thought. Her mind replayed old memories, missions, betrayal, survival. Cole handed her a new set of clothes. Basic but clean. They're not fancy, he said. But better than torn armor. She accepted them and disappeared into the back room to change. When she returned, something had changed. Her eyes were softer, her shoulders more relaxed. Cole looked up. That suits you, she nodded. Thank you. Night came again. But this time, it felt different. Two strangers, one a human engineer, the other a galactic assassin. Yet somehow, under this broken roof, they found a small space of peace. And Kalari, the name that brought fear to the stars, had finally met someone who didn't run from her. He offered her shelter, not chains. The sky above Virion 6 stayed quiet the next morning, but Cole had a strange feeling in his chest, like the air had become heavier. It wasn't just the weather. Something else was coming. Kalari had woken early. She sat outside on the rocky hill, watching the sky like a hawk. She hadn't spoken much since last night, but her eyes stayed sharp, her ears twitching at every small sound. Inside, Cole was repairing a broken sensor drone that he used to scan the outer perimeter of his land. He attached a new battery core and sent it flying toward the north. Minutes later, the screen lit up with a soft red pulse. Cole leaned forward. Unidentified ship, low altitude, small, fast, coming this way. Kalari walked in, saw the screen, and went quiet. They've found me, she said. How sure? She pointed at the ship's engine pattern. That's a Syndicate recon scout. They always send one first to confirm the target before the hunters come. Cole stood up. How much time do we have? An hour, maybe less. She grabbed her weapon from the corner of the room. Cole noticed how her movements were fast now, confident. Her injuries were almost gone. I'm not letting them take me, Kalari said coldly. Cole didn't speak right away. He looked around his shelter, at the machines he built, at the tools he trusted. He never planned for war, but he wasn't going to run either. Then let's give them a surprise, he said calmly. They worked together quickly. Cole had a map of the land, full of old paths, dry trenches, and hidden corners. I know every rock and wire out there, he said. If they come close, we can slow them down. Kalari studied the map. You have traps? Not yet. But I've got parts. She smiled slightly. Let's build some. Cole turned his old farming drones into flying flashbangs. He wired motion triggers near the outer edge of the hill. Kalari, with her assassin skills, added energy mines made from Cole's power cores. They were small but strong enough to knock back armored soldiers. This feels strange, Kalari said while placing one of the mines. I've always worked alone. Well, Cole replied, adjusting a solar charge panel. Welcome to teamwork. You're ours. The time the scout ship appeared on the horizon, the ground was ready. Cole and Kalari took cover behind a thick boulder. The ship hovered above, scanning the area. Then it turned around and disappeared into the clouds. They saw something. Cole guessed. They'll send a strike group, Kalari confirmed. Standard pattern, 5 to 8 bounty soldiers, armored, quick, no talking. And they won't stop. Not until I'm dead. Or they are. They didn't wait long. Just as the sun dipped low, A second ship screamed through the sky. It landed beyond the ridge, out of sight, but the rumble of heavy boots echoed across the field. Cole activated the traps remotely. The first flash drone exploded near a ridge, blinding 2 bounty hunters. One stepped into a power mine, blasted backward into a sharp rock. Kelari moved like a shadow, silent and fast. She slid down the hill, took cover behind a ledge, and fired her pulse blade. A clean strike. 1 enemy down. Cole stayed near the shelter using his modified tool rifle, meant for mining, now firing hot plasma bolts. He hit 1 target in the leg, causing it to fall. Kelari finished it. 3 more enemies pushed forward, shouting commands in a language Cole didn't understand. But Kelari did. They said, "Take the human alive." Cole narrowed his eyes. "Why me?" "They might want to use you against me. Or study why I stayed here." Cole shook his head. "They won't get that chance." The fight went on for minutes that felt like hours. Cole's hands burned from handling overheated wires. Kelari's armor had a fresh cut, but she didn't stop moving. In the final rush, 2 bounty soldiers charged the shelter. Cole ran out of power bolts. He grabbed his wrench and swung hard, knocking one back. The second raised a blaster. Kelari appeared from the shadows and sliced the weapon in half with her blade. Her eyes were cold, her movements precise. The last attacker fell. Silence returned. Cole dropped to the ground, breathing hard. Kelari looked down at him and offered her hand. "You fight well," she said. He chuckled. "For a guy who fixes tractors, maybe." She helped him up. "You didn't run. Most would." "You didn't run either," he said. "You stayed. For me." Kelari didn't reply. She just nodded once. Later that night, they repaired the broken parts of the shelter. It had a few blast marks now, a cracked wall, a dented roof, but they were alive. Cole brought out 2 metal cups with warm tea-like liquid. Kelari sat across from him. "This was supposed to be a quiet place," Cole said. "Not anymore," she replied. "You think they'll send more?" "Yes, and stronger." Cole sipped slowly. "Then we prepare. This is our ground now." Kelari looked at him, a strange softness in her eyes. She didn't feel alone anymore. She didn't feel like a weapon either. "You're not afraid of what I was," she said quietly. "No," Cole replied, "because I see what you are now." And under the stars of Virion 6, the assassin and the engineer sat side by side, 2 very different lives now joined by something neither expected. Trust. The next morning felt strange at Cole's shelter. The battle scars on the walls were still fresh, yet the air inside was calm, almost gentle. After hours of repair and little sleep, Cole brewed a pot of strong calf and handed a steaming cup to Kelari. She wrapped her fingers around the metal cup, watching thin wisps rise into the quiet room. Her pale blue skin looked softer in the early light, but her eyes stayed alert, always scanning for danger. "Any signals?" she asked. Cole shook his head. "The comm tower is on listen only, nothing so far, but that won't last. We should move underground while we still can." Kelari followed him outside. Behind the main shelter, half hidden by thorny bushes, was a thick metal hatch. Cole knelt, typed a code, and opened it. A narrow ladder dropped into darkness. "You have a bunker?" Kelari asked, surprised. "It's an old storm cellar," Cole said. "I rebuilt it for emergencies." They climbed down. The space was small, bare rock walls, a work table, and boxes packed with supplies. Tiny lights flickered to life as Cole powered up a generator. "It's not fancy," he said, "but it's safe." Kelari walked along the walls, running a hand over rough stone. Strange symbols were scratched in some places, simple marks Cole made years ago while measuring water seepage. They meant nothing, yet she traced them with interest as if they were secret stars. Cole set 2 chairs near the table. "Sit. Rest a moment." Kelari hesitated, then lowered herself into the chair opposite him. For the first time, she looked tired, not physically, but somewhere deeper. "You didn't sleep," Cole said. "Couldn't," she replied. "Nightmares." He nodded. "Same for me. Hard to sleep when you think every shadow hides trouble." Silence settled. Only the soft hum of the generator filled the room. At last, Kalari spoke. I was taken at 9. Her voice was low, almost flat. The syndicate destroyed my village. They trained survivors as tools. I became the best because failing meant death. Cole listened, hands folded. He didn't interrupt. I told myself I had no heart, she continued. Assassins don't get hearts, but after what we faced yesterday, after how you fought for me, I can't lie anymore. I feel something. Cole leaned forward. You're free to feel whatever you want now. Free, she repeated, tasting the word. I don't remember what that means. He reached into a crate and pulled out a slim music player, old, scratched, but still working. Maybe this helps. He pressed play. Soft earth jazz drifted into the bunker, notes gentle like warm rain. Kalari tilted her head, curious. What is that? An ancient song, Cole said. My mother listened to it while fixing machines. She said music reminds people they're human, even out on lonely worlds. Kalari closed her eyes. The melody wrapped around her like sunlight. Slowly, the tension in her shoulders eased. Cole stood and rummaged through another crate. He returned with a padded bandage kit. Will, finish treating the slice on your arm. She glanced at the thin cut left from the fight. Though nearly healed, a faint red line remained. Cole cleaned it carefully, his hand steady. Kalari watched him work, amazed that a stranger could show such gentle skill. You helped me, she said softly. Why? Because everyone deserves a chance to change, he answered. And because I was lonely too. Her violet eyes met his brown ones. A quiet understanding passed between them. Suddenly, the warning beacon on Cole's wrist lit up. Bright orange. Incoming signal. He pulled a small pad from his belt. The screen showed a large cruiser in low orbit. It bore a black crest, a serpent coiled around a blood-red star. The Syndicate flagship, Kalari whispered. Cole's throat went dry. They didn't waste time. Kalari rose, all warmth replaced by steel focus. They'll jam local comms, scan for life signs, then send ground squads. We have maybe 4 hours. We can't fight a flagship, Cole said. I know, she replied. But we can fight their story. Cole frowned. What do you mean? Kalari stepped closer. Syndicate wins by fear. If we show the galaxy what they really do, enslave, murder, lie, we break that fear. But how? Their jammers will block every signal. Kalari tapped her temple. My neural link has a coded channel the Syndicate doesn't know I stole. Short range only, but we can piggyback onto your tower, bounce the signal off weather, drones, then up to civilian nets. If the message gets out once, copies will spread everywhere. Cole smiled despite the danger. You're talking about exposing them in broad daylight. Exactly, she said. Evidence, names, locations, and a face, the assassin who turned against them. Cole grabbed tools. Let's get to work. For 2 intense hours, they rebuilt the bunker's tiny transmitter. Cole soldered circuits while Kalari hacked her own data crystal, unlocking hidden files. Targets, bribes, command orders signed by Syndicate leaders. Every file was a dagger aimed at the organization's heart. As they worked, Kalari began to hum the Earth tune, soft under her breath. Cole noticed and smiled. Finished, they carried the rigged transmitter up to the hilltop, hiding it beneath rocks. Cole adjusted the dish. Kalari calibrated frequency. All set, he said. Once we broadcast, they'll trace us in minutes. She held his gaze. Then we make those minutes count. Kalari pressed send. Data surged into the sky. Thousands of files bursting across civilian channels. Screens in distant colonies flickered with Syndicate secrets. Galactic chatter spiked as traders, miners, and governors read the files and felt their fear turn into anger. Cole's console beeped. They found us. Dropships inbound. 12, maybe 15 soldiers. Then we stand, Kalari said. They retreated to prepared cover near the shelter's south ridge. Cole checked each power mine. Kalari loaded fresh energy cells into her blade. Wind whipped across the plain, carrying dust and the roar of engines. The first dropship descended, kicking up a storm of dirt. Syndicate troopers poured out, black armor, glowing visors, rifles humming. Cole triggered the closest mine. A burst of blue light threw troopers backward. Kailari darted forward, spinning through dust and smoke, a dance of speed and precision. Her blade flickered, striking rifles, cutting cables, never lethal but disabling swiftly. Cole fired his tool rifle, targeting power packs on enemy suits. Sparks burst. Armor failed. Within minutes, the first wave lay unconscious or scrambling away. Another dropship roared overhead, but this one aimed for the bunker. Cole cursed. If they reached the transmitter, they could shut the signal. Kailari sprinted faster than Cole thought possible. She vaulted a boulder, landed atop the craft as it hovered, and plunged her blade through a vent. The engine howled, sputtered, then died. The ship crashed in a harmless, skidding arc, troopers spilling. Out dizzy and disarmed, Cole reached her side. Together they held the ridge, every second the galaxy reading their broadcast. Then, as quickly as it began, the Syndicate troops fell back. Dropships lifted, retreating to the flagship. Cole wiped sweat from his brow, amazed. They're leaving? For now, Kailari breathed. They have to explain the leak before risking more losses. High above, the sinister cruiser angled away, engines blazing. A sign of uncertain fear, Kailari turned to Cole. We did it. He laughed, half joy, half disbelief. You did. You believed first, she countered, eyes bright. Cole felt his heart pound, not from battle but from hope. Under the fading afternoon sun, the two stood shoulder to shoulder, knowing the fight wasn't over but realizing something stronger than fear had begun to grow between them. Shelter had become trust. Trust had become purpose. And in Kailari's once hard gaze, a new light sparked, the quiet flame of a heart learning how to beat freely again. Clouds drifted over Virion 6 like slow ships, hiding the stars that now carried Kailari's secret to every corner of known space. In outposts and capital worlds, people had watched the stolen files pour across their screens. Fear of the Syndicate cracked. Anger grew in its place. Cole and Kailari stood on the rocky ridge, wind tugging at their clothes, eyes fixed on the sky where the black flagship had vanished hours before. The ground around them showed the marks of battle, burned soil, broken, armor pieces and still smoking power cells, but the air felt lighter as if the planet itself could breathe again. Cole lowered his tool rifle. Do you think they'll come back? Kailari scanned the horizon. Not until they understand how much damage we did. They will try to silence the truth, but it is already everywhere. She touched the side of her head, checking the neural link. Messages keep spreading. Miners on Keth Moon, traders on the Rim, even news hubs on Central Worlds. Everyone is copying the files. Cole smiled, tired but proud. Then we bought time. Kailari turned to him. And hope. Rising echoes by midday, the next signal reached their bunker, a civil relay drone dropping an encrypted packet. Cole caught the metal cylinder, plugged it into his console, and watched a face appear. A middle-aged woman in a brown uniform, the crest of the Free Systems Newsnet on her sleeve. This is reporter Lysa Arden. To whoever sent the Syndicate files, thank you. Worlds are rising, governors demand an inquiry, civil fleets call for protection of the whistleblowers. If you are still alive, we would like an interview. You are. Inspiring millions. Cole read the words aloud. Kailari sat very still, a mix of wonder and disbelief crossing her face. Inspiring, she whispered. They never use that word for me. You earned it, Cole said. She shook her head gently. We earned it. A final shadow hope did not mean safety. While Cole repaired power lines, Kailari traced enemy comms. One coded burst caught her ear. Syndicate Strike Order Delta 1. It carried fresh coordinates. Virion 6, Relay Point Sigma. A fast cruiser was coming, smaller than the flagship but armed for orbital strikes. How long? Cole asked. 3 hours. Kalari answered. They think a quick blast will erase us before news crews arrive. Cole wiped sweat from his brow. We can't outrun an orbital cannon. Kalari paced. No, but we can blind it. Cole's eyes lit up. The old ion collector in my shed, it was built to study storms, huge energy coils that fire straight up. Kalari nodded. If we overload the coils, launch a pulse at the right moment, we can scramble their targeting sensors. The ship will be forced to land, or leave. It could also melt the collector in half the hill, Cole warned. Worth the risk, she said. Let's do it. Building the pulse, they raced against time. Cole hauled the rusty ion tower from storage and bolted it onto a steel frame. Kalari rewired the control node, hands moving with razor speed. They tied power cells from wrecked bounty armor into the coil array, each battery humming hotter than it was ever meant to. Temperature rising fast. Cole muttered, checking. Gauges painted red. Kalari locked the final clamp. We need a cooler or the coils will burst before firing. Cole ran to the water tank, dragged a hose, and flooded the tower's base until steam hissed upward. Alarm tones beeped. Enemy cruiser entering atmosphere. Cole threw a lever. Ready? Kalari placed her hand over his on the switch. Together. They pulled. Blue lightning shot through copper rings, painting the sky with crackling webs. The pulse leapt upward, vanishing into clouds just as a dark spear shape punched through. A second later, the cruiser's lights flickered. It wobbled, engines coughing blue flame. Kalari watched, breath held. The cruiser steadied, tried to align weapons, then lurched again. Its thrusters roared as it angled away, retreating west toward empty desert. Minutes later, it vanished beyond the horizon. Cole let out a long sigh. We did it. The ion tower sparked and collapsed, coils glowing orange, but the hill still stood. Kalari laughed, a bright, clear sound Cole had never heard from her before. Shelter beats chains, she said, echoing their first night. A new arrival. The next day dawned quiet. No enemy signals. Instead, a small white shuttle descended gently, emblazoned with the emblem of the Terran Diplomatic Corps, a silver olive branch over Earth's blue sphere. Cole tensed, but Kalari laid a calming hand on his arm. Their motto is peace first. The shuttle landed near the bunker. A single officer stepped out, gray suit, kind eyes. He kept his hands visible, no weapons. I'm Envoy Mason, he said. On behalf of Earth and allied worlds, I thank you. Your broadcast exposed crimes we all feared but could not prove. Cole nodded, unsure what came next. Mason turned to Kalari. Word of your courage spread fast. Many worlds now call you a hero. The Corps offers protection, a formal pardon for past missions under duress, and a seat on our new Security Council. Should you accept? Kalari's gaze drifted to Cole, then back to the envoy. I am grateful, she said, voice steady. But I decline. For now. I have another place to be. Mason smiled knowingly. Then Earth will still guard your name. And you, Engineer Cole, may request any support you need to rebuild. Cole scratched his head. A few good solar panels would be nice. Done, Mason said with a grin. He saluted and returned to his shuttle, leaving a crate of supplies by the ramp. Moments later, the craft lifted skyward, sunlight flashing. Off its hull, choosing home evening colored the plains gold. Cole installed new panels while Kalari stacked emergency rations in the bunker. When the work was finished, they met on the ridge, same spot where they had fought back to back. So, Cole said awkwardly. What now? Kalari looked east, where twin moons rose like pale coins. The galaxy is wide. I could travel, help, the weak hunt syndicate outposts, but for once I don't want to run toward a fight. She turned, stepping closer. You gave me something rare, choice, a chance to be more than a blade. She placed a small black crystal in his hand. My past missions are stored here. Delete them if you wish. They no longer own me. Cole closed his fingers around the crystal. Stay, he said softly. There's room here for two. We can fix machines, grow food, and when people call for help, we'll answer. Together. Kalari's violet eyes shimmered. Together, she repeated. Wind carried the scent of rain over dry soil. Somewhere far away, a lonely desert world began to heal from fear. Cole reached into his pocket, pulled out the old music player, and pressed play. Gentle jazz filled the air. He held out one hand, awkward, hopeful. Kalari hesitated only a heartbeat before placing her hand in his. Under the light of twin moons, the assassin and the engineer swayed to a song older than their troubles, feet crunching on rocky ground, hearts learning to move in time. Above them, stars burned bright, not as witnesses to danger, but as silent promises of new days. The syndicate's shadow would linger, but now whole worlds stood ready to shine light into every corner. And on a quiet ridge of Virion 6, where shelter once meant hiding, two souls found something stronger than survival. Home.